Hey Mike, there's no housing collapse. Houses went up during the summer. All right, so what's going on and why have houses not collapsed when they're way overpriced right now? The reason I know this is because some people call it affordability, but it's actually qualifying income. So we'll call qualifying income affordability. In other words, if you don't make the proper amount of money, you cannot qualify for the loan to buy the house. So what's happening is people can't even qualify for the house that they normally, in a neighborhood they would normally live in. So like people that live in this lovely neighborhood can't afford to buy a house. The people that normally like rent in this neighborhood with the mattresses outside and everything, lovely, they can't afford to buy these homes. So because they can't income qualify for the loan. So that's what tells you that the market's out of whack. But the question is, why have the houses not fallen down the way they usually do? And the answer is, it's a little bit complicated. Number one, a lot of these people have a really low rate on their home. So that's one of the things. The landlords or the tenants or the owners, depending on whatever landlords are the owners, the tenants won't be buying the house, right? The landlords or the owners either have a really good rate on their house, and a lot of them bought during the time when they were cheaper, and so there's that problem in making the housing market drop. The other thing is there is a high demand for housing. For instance, in California, there's a lot less building than the demand is. Some people say it's because there's not enough land. I just passed like 2 large 10-acre lots that aren't being built on. There's plenty of land. That's not the issue. In some areas it might be, but not in the more affordable areas like this one. Affordable means things like this: loveliness, graffiti, interesting people, drug addicts, alcoholics, and homeless. Great. Because this is the state of California, and they just love this stuff because they make laws to make it easier for them to do their thing. Steal, all that sort of thing. Be on drugs in public, that's fine. So with things like Title 24, which is basically making an energy efficient home, do you think the people in this neighborhood really care if they have an energy efficient home? They just want a roof over their heads, and they've made these laws to make all the homes energy efficient, with these wonderful things like a low NOx water heater, a low NOx air conditioning system that literally costs almost twice what they normally do. One of the builders that I have an insight on, actually knows somebody who works there, finished their last track and lost $80,000 a home. So that's why the builders are not building. They're building in other states, but not in California because of that reason. So those are partly the reasons why the housing market hasn't dropped that quickly, because there really is a lot of inventory. Now what's going to happen is, over the short term here, we are looking at a down economy. As much as the government wants to lie and say that, everything's fine, and the unemployment numbers are just fine, everything's fine, right? Anybody believe that? Things are getting much worse in the economy. When you have things like Maersk dropping a large percentage, the shipping lines, the biggest shipping line in the world has a major drop in business. That's a pretty positive indicator that we are in a downward spiral right now. So once the jobs numbers, the actual unemployment goes up, along with this inflation, then you're going to, about 3 months after that, you will start to see home prices drop, because really people are one paycheck away from not being able to make it right now. And one paycheck before the bank forecloses usually takes about 3 months or 4 months, depending on how many they get at once. If they all of a sudden get thousands of foreclosures at once. It might take them 6 months to actually start foreclosing, because there's a good chance most of them won't be able to qualify to refinance. Either they will be equity deficient, which means they don't have enough equity to be able to refinance, or they will not be able to afford on paper the new rate. So a lot of them are opting to get like a home equity line of credit right now, and those are getting run up as we speak. So it's going to take a little while, but eventually what will happen will happen. You can't have these exponentially high rates of inflation, all this national debt that was run up from the pandemic, and all these spikes of business and then drops of business, and all this stuff that we've had happen without some repercussions. And it's going to transfer into housing at some point, and I think it's going to be sooner than later. It is definitely taking longer than what I expected. We are replicating something very similar to 2007 right now as far as economics go, but the housing market is not replicating the same thing, because again, people have loans that aren't going to be don't have like a due clause like they did with the other loans they used to have had a 5-year prepay or something like that, or it would go from interest only to a fully amortized loan and the payments had balloons. People don't have those type of loans, but the inflation factor, along with even the low rates, for some people, it's going to be, challenging, and to the point where some of them aren't going to be able to make it, especially when unemployment rises. So it's going to be a market coming up, and that's what I believe is going to happen. I've never really been wrong on this stuff. There they go, repossessing Rent-A-Center. That's what that was, if you didn't read it. Along with this other problem, we also have high rents. I really think it's going to drive a lot of people to the streets. I don't know, what do you guys think in the comments? I'd like to hear what you have to say. I think there's going to be a lot more, if you have an old beat up motorhome, now's a good time to fix that sucker up and put it up for sale. Maybe you'll get a pretty good price for it pretty soon. Because I think those old motorhomes are going to be housing for a lot of people pretty soon, with these high rents, landlords that are on their high horse, and also people losing their homes that aren't going to be able to rent anywhere. Some of the government-sponsored inflation, like putting all these mandates on things and extra costs on things like water heaters are double the price. Air conditioning is way more expensive than it was. Again, in California, you have to have a low NOx air conditioning. Honestly, how much NOx do you think an air conditioning puts out? And yet they made them way more expensive by doing this. It's part of their green garbage. Hey, you guys, let's move to the city so we can be green. How stupid does that sound? Live in a city so you can be green. You guys, if you want to be a green person, you take and sell your house and you move into the mountains and you live off the land. Then you're being green. If you're living in a city, you're contributing to the problem. Some of this stuff just cracks me up. But anyway, we're looking at a tough time coming. It's coming very soon. When I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you exactly when. It's just depending on those jobs numbers. Keep an eye on that. Once you see unemployment go up, and the thing is they're fudging that because people that were making, $100,000 a year job are coming down and working for $25 an hour somewhere. Some of them are. So they're saying, oh, well, that person's still employed, but they're not making what they used to make. Incomes are dropping. And so that's happening. But once you start to see unemployment go up, hold on, we're going in. So that's when it's going to start getting challenging. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Hopefully this helps you figure out things and definitely save your money and live cautiously, because it's going to get rough.